Welcome, writers, game masters, and creatives to the World Builders Tavern. Today we are talking about seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. So if you haven't seen these, well, you're gonna get some spoilers. Grab an ale, pull up a chair. I'm Emma, your friendly barkeep, and along with Allison.
Hi.
And Christiana.
Hello.
We are happy to have you here. Cheers.
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 So, for a little bit of background, The Mandalorian is an American space western television series that streams on Disney+. That's the only place you can watch it, so if you don't have a Disney Plus subscription, steal one from your friend. Beginning 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi and the fall of the Galactic Empire, The Mandalorian follows Din Djarin, a lone Mandalorian bounty hunter in the outer reaches of the galaxy. He is hired by remnant Imperial forces, so those are the bad guys in Return of the Jedi. He is hired to retrieve the child Grogu, but instead goes on the run to protect the infant instead of delivering him to the Imperial... I forget what his title is, but his name is Moff Gideon, and he's a pretty bad guy, but he wants Grogu. So that's kind of the overarching scope. So season 3 is coming out right away, or it's currently coming out, right? Like it's already...
Yeah, it's right now.
It's happening.
It's
right now.
It's airing as we speak, and will have aired even more once this goes live. We are going to be talking about season 3 specifically in our next episode. So this episode now is covering seasons 1 and 2, and then season 3 you can listen to next time.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to talk about? And I will say Allison and Christiana are our resident Star Wars fanatics. I am a perhaps medium fan. I could take it or leave it. I like it well enough, but I'm not gonna... I've never bought any merch from it. That maybe indicates my level of involvedness. But so I'm excited to see what Allison and Christiana have to say about this in particular.
I literally have Baby Yoda tattooed on me. So if that's any indication
Christiana and I are big old Star Wars
just
nerds.
a bunch of big old geeks. So
I have 2 Ahsoka paintings in my office.
Oh,
2.
Love it.
I
Love it.
And Ahsoka is part of this series. And maybe my favorite part of this series so far is Ahsoka's appearance. So
I love seeing characters that I love from like one series showing up in another in different formats. So this is really cool because Ahsoka's never been played by a real life actor.
Yeah.
She's always been in animated series. And so that was really neat getting to see. So actually, I want to talk about this. This leads me into an interesting topic for world builders and writers.
Yeah.
Setting a new story in a familiar world. And The Mandalorian does this so good. And I think Star Wars shows are kind of hit and miss whether they do this well or not.
Yeah,
but The
definitely.
Mandalorian is a really, really good example. And it manages to capture the spirit of the original trilogy in ways that other Star Wars shows haven't done for me.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to talk with Christiana in particular about like how they managed to do that. Because I'm not even sure I can pinpoint exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, is it like the grittiness or the music or just all of the above, casting choices?
I think it's a little bit all of the above. One thing that I think why Mandalorian can get away with all of these Easter eggs and all of these crossovers and bringing these characters back is because it's episodic, right? So if you were to dedicate an entire show, and again, spoiler warning, Ahsoka is in the show, Luke Skywalker is in the show, all of these famous characters are in the show. If they were there the entire time, it would feel forced. But the fact that it's episodic and it really is a space western, right? Like it follows kind of like typical samurai movie plots and also western plots, but it's so episodic that it's cool for Din to land on a planet and Ahsoka is there. Ahsoka's going to help him out for this one episode and you're just there and you're just like, yes, I get to enjoy this for 20 minutes or however long she's in the episode. Cheer for her. Feel fantastic, but not question it too hard. And I think that's because it's episodic, it allows you to bring in these familiar faces and all of these little Easter eggs and all these fun little things without it feeling too forced because, like I said, he's just there for an hour. Like, we're only experiencing it for an hour.
The writers do such a good job of teasing things and introducing characters that we know and love for an episode or two and yet it still would be interesting for a person who like doesn't know who Boba Fett is, or like doesn't know who Cad Bane is. That was a little bit of a deeper dig, that one.
So I like your question, Allie, but like why does it capture the spirit of the original ones? And I think part of it is because it's not afraid to do something new. Like the original, when Star Wars first came out, it was new, right? We didn't know any of these characters. We didn't know the universe. We were discovering things. And then with each subsequent Star Wars release, they've stayed very close to that, right? Like episodes 1, 2, 3, episodes 7, 8, 9 have all been about the Skywalkers, you know? Like Clone Wars, which is arguably better than either of those trilogies, also still about the Skywalkers, whereas in this, it's a new story. So we get to still have that feeling of adventure and discovering something new. And I think that is a really great use of world building is, okay, we're going to use the same world, but we're going to make it fresh because we don't want to just go to the same places we've gone before. That's boring. We don't care about that.
That is my
That's actually
biggest pet peeve about Star Wars. I love it so much. I am so sick of the Skywalkers, and I mean that in a loving way. I'm just like,
give us someone new.
Goodness, there's other people in this whole giant universe. And the same thing, one thing that I will gently critique Mando about setting a new story in a familiar world, Tatooine is either an outer rim planet that no one cares about, or it's vitally important. Pick one. You can't.
Which one is it?
Yeah, you can't have every series end up on Tatooine and be like, no one knows about Tatooine and no one cares about it. I'm like, that's clearly not true. Everyone shows up there. So
it is obviously a hive of villainy at this point.
Yeah.
Hive of scum and villainy. I get it.
Yes.
But I'm like, pick another. There's got to be other hives of scum and villainy.
I have seen famous authors fall into this trap, and sadly it works. That they will just keep writing the same series over and over and over again, like just with different names. You know, like and like it works because they're famous and they have a fan base and people want more of the same. So like you can do that if you want to, and you might succeed at it. But I don't find it interesting. Like one of my favorite authors did that, and after a while I just stopped reading his new books because I'm like,
I've read this story before.
Yeah, I've read this like 3 times already.
Yeah.
So,
and that does happen in Star Wars a lot. Like if you look at A New Hope and The Force Awakens, it's basically the same movie. Like when you really break down the plot, like it's kind of the same movie.
I mean, they did that intentionally.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one. I forget a bit. Because
that could have worked if 8 and 9, well, specifically if 9 had gone in a different direction.
Yes. 8 was phenomenal. That's my unpopular Star Wars opinion.
We're 8 defenders here.
Yeah.
I think we're Allison. Oh, we have a dissenter.
I enjoyed all 3 of them.
Oh, I enjoyed all of them for sure. They entertained
but I will
me,
say they are entertaining, but I think it could have worked better if the same director had directed all 3 of them, because you can really see every different touch and be like, this is a different story. This is a different story.
They all wanted to tell different stories and did not care that anybody else is telling something else.
So I wish they had done that. But
I agree.
I still was very entertained, and I loved that it started this new Star Wars revival. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too, that sometimes Star Wars fans specifically fall into, is kind of this trap of thinking new media affects the past media. And they're like, oh, I hated the sequels. This ruined Star Wars for me. And I'm like, believe it or not, you can still pop in your Star Wars VHS and it magically isn't edited. Like it's still the same story.
Well, I mean, with Star Wars though, that's not always the case.
The special versions, the re-releases. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think people take it like super seriously. But I think The Mandalorian does a great job of managing that and balancing that, where it is new and it is weird, but it also pulls back in new things. And like, because it's so different, I think it's really easy to kind of take off your big Lucasfilm armor and be like, okay, I'm just gonna I'm along for the ride. I'm just gonna see where this goes and I'm going to enjoy it, right?
I really liked I like how they pull in characters and plots sometimes from the Star Wars stuff that is no longer canon. What's it called now?
Extended universe.
Extended. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Thought it had another name, but whatever. Yeah. Because I loved the extended universe, and I had some favorite characters from there. I'm a little sad that Han and Leia's kids are not the same in the new show, but that's whatever. It's fine. But I really liked, for example, that Ahsoka mentions Admiral Thrawn.
Yes.
In season 2 of The Mandalorian, who is a very well-loved
the big
villain
bad
from the old series that, no one knew if they were going to bring that guy back again. But apparently they are. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. He came back in Rebels, didn't he? Wasn't he in Rebels?
Yeah.
So we already knew this, but still, cool that he might be coming into the, maybe the Ahsoka series that's coming up.
But I also that they take old characters and kind of make them new. Like, it could have been easy to have IG-88 be the droid that helps Mando, but instead it's IG-11, right? And like little shifts like that, where it's like, you as soon as IG-11 showed up, as soon as he showed up on the screen, I was like, oh my god, it's IG-88. IG-88 is in this movie. Oh my god. And I was really pumped. And then they're like IG-11, and I was like, oh, actually I kind of like that better. I think, like,
because the droid type, but it's not the same one, yeah, I liked that too. One other throwback Star Wars reference for fans that I have to mention. I think it's in the final episode of season 1, where you have the 2 stormtroopers who have just captured Grogu, and they have a conversation with each other, and like, this conversation would be real boring if it wasn't funny, and if you weren't Star Wars fans, and like, they try and shoot a can with their blasters and they keep missing. And it's just, I don't know, that scene tickled me so much. Like, they're just like talking about how Moff Gideon like kills his troops all the time and how they're afraid of him, and like, I don't want to tell him, you tell him, and just like, I just enjoyed that scene.
It's good. There's a lot of humor in this show, and that's something that is, I don't want to say unique to Star Wars, but something that makes Star Wars unique, right? Yes. It's like, I can't think of a single Star Wars media piece that doesn't at least have a couple jokes in it. Like, humor is kind of just a part of Star Wars.
They do a lot of the humor with Grogu, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get enough of seeing him. It's been 2 seasons, and every time I see him do something, I'm still like, oh, he's so adorable.
It's incredible. It's perfect. No notes.
Everything he does, I know. I'm just like, yes, Grogu, you are amazing. So, they accomplish a lot of goofy stuff with him. I don't know how they got away with that episode where they take the lizard woman and her
he
eggs.
Eats all her babies.
He eats all the eggs.
So many of them. I just can't watch. I'm like, no.
I couldn't.
You're supposed to be a good character.
I know, and I think people are like, isn't that funny? I'm like, man, stop eating her babies. I know,
but
they're
you're
just
kind
eggs,
of laughing,
but like,
at the same
but I was just like, oh, Grogu, that's the whole purpose, is for her to be able to get these eggs somewhere safely, and you're just eating them. Come on, have some self-restraint.
Glad he didn't eat all of them.
Some of the children survived.
Yeah.
Would you say that silliness and goofiness, is that built into the world, or is that more of the characters, or a mix of both?
I think it's a mix, but my favorite thing about Star Wars is that realistically, it's a goofy universe. Like, it's silly, it's kind of dumb. Like, a lot of the world building is like, if you analyze it too closely, you're like, this is just silly. Like, the fact that these wizards. It's space wizards, and these giant slugs who can't move around are somehow the gangsters who run all of the Outer Rim. And you know what I mean? Like, when you look at it closely, you're like, or like the Kowakian monkeys. I'm blanking on the name, but Salacious B. Crumb. That's a funny looking character, right? Like everything about it is kind of funny. And there's all these little jokes in it. And I think that's what makes Star Wars such a phenomenal universe to write and explore in is because ultimately the canvas you're working on is a little silly. It's a little silly.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a silly, funny, lighthearted story, you can. But because it's so diverse and because it's so in depth, if you want to make a really, really serious story, which I think The Mandalorian is, it's quite a serious story about diaspora and culture and community and what happens when those things are separated and your community is spread out and all of these things. Like it's like a very serious topic. You can make that happen in this universe, but still have a little bit of like relief with like Grogu eating all of the frog eggs. You know?
I think that's why I love the show so much. Like, oftentimes you get one or the other with sci-fi. Like, I'm thinking of like really dark shows like Battlestar Galactica. I can only watch like 1 or 2 episodes at once because I'm like, this is so good, but it's so like gloom and doom and intense. And then you have something like The Orville that is just all like humor, and which I also love. But this gives you a bit of both, and it does it really well.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about it most is, and again, I'm going to go back to because it's episodic, I think it extra allows it to do both because viewers know that for the most part, stories are wrapped up in one episode. So if it's a silly episode, it's easy to just kind of sit back and relax and be like, this is just a silly episode. The next episode might be really serious. And then when there's a super serious and emotional episode, again, it's kind of easy to sit back and be like, this isn't going to be forever. I'm not going to cry endlessly for the next 10 hours of watching this. This is just one episode, right?
And you can translate that episodic nature into novel writing, I think, by writing a standalones that are still connected, but they work on their own.
Even separating, if you want to have all of that in one big novel, even separating it by chapters and kind of like having those little like breathing room spaces in there. Maybe it's 2 months later.
Hard.
It would definitely be hard.
I'm trying to think of an example of a book that does that, and I'm having. I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
I think generally then people lean more towards like a collection of short stories.
Yeah.
Which also is like a perfectly good way to write. Like if you like those episodic things, or even like something like Love, Death, and Robots, which is an episodic, like very episodic TV show. But like if you wrote those as a collection of short stories, would also work. Like there's all if you want to tell a bunch of kind of
you could
stories
have
like that.
So I'm also thinking of the Murderbot Diaries, which we're actually going to talk about in a later episode. Woo. They are novellas, so they are quite short and feel very episodic. And then there's something like Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, which are full-length novels, but they are also very episodic. At least so far, I'm reading them with my husband right now because they're his favorite. And so that also feels that way. But at the same time, the stories are connected and like you get recurring characters and themes. And
Chronicles of Narnia also is like another one that's kind of like that, you know, all set in the same world and kind of have some similar through characters, but not all of them. An even more episodic one would be like Terry Pratchett's like Discworld series, which is all in the same world. Those ones are very isolated. Like there's not a lot of through lines, but like some of them are. So there's a lot of those do tend to be shorter novels. Like you're gonna have a hard time doing like 400-500 page novels that are episodic like that. But you know,
I mean,
never say never. You could, just tougher.
Dresden Files are like full length novels, and I think Terry Pratchett's they're not they're not like 200,000 words. Like
they're
not
kind
like
of one day
George R. R.
reads,
Martin or something.
Yeah. There's also the Southern Reach trilogy, which we'll be covering the first book soon.
We will be.
It's very much the same.
So many upcoming previews.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's like 3 books that cover the same issue from different perspectives. And I always really like that. It's like the same universe, but it's like wildly different experiences within that universe kind of thing. That's always
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I think, what Mando is doing with this, with its episodic approach, and what you could do as a writer or a world builder with these kind of like snapshot approaches almost to storytelling, is instead of spending all of your effort exploring one aspect of the world, you get to explore multiple aspects of the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the pandemic or I'm getting older or just different reading preferences, but I'm starting to really appreciate standalone novels a
I
lot
am
more than I used
too.
to.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just a busy person. So if I can like sit down and burn
Yeah.
through a 300-page novel in a couple days and
And then
like
it's
get
done.
my fix, it's done, it's wrapped up, I'm satisfied. And I feel the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
same way with The Mandalorian, where it's like I'm traveling a lot this month. If I don't get to see the next episode, it doesn't constantly feel like I'm on the edge where I'm like,
Mm,
oh,
yeah.
I can't rest until I know what's going to happen. Everything feels slightly wrapped up every time.
Yep.
So at
Mm-hmm.
least I have
Mm-hmm.
some, I can set it aside and say, okay, it's not the end of the world. Even as a massive Star Wars fan, it's not the
Mm-hmm.
end of the world for me to be like, okay, I can wait an extra 2 days before I'm home and I can
Yeah.
watch this episode kind
Yeah.
of thing.
You don't need cliffhangers to get people to come back. And that I think that is
Yeah.
sort of a writing advice, and I think it is valid. You know, like you always want to leave the chapter on something that will make someone turn the page and get to the next. You always want to end your book
Yeah.
with what's going to get them. But that doesn't have to be a cliffhanger. People could want to turn the page because they love this character or because they love
Yeah.
this world. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be what's going to happen next. But I really like this. I want, like, you know, like you can fall in love with multiple parts of a story. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be some gripping plot point that
Yeah.
forces your reader
And
along.
it also doesn't have to be the main plot. Even if you wrap up the main plot but leave like one or two threads open, enough
Mm-hmm.
that if someone finishes the story and they say, "Okay, I'm satisfied. I read this plot, like I read this book for this specific plot and I got what I wanted. I'm satisfied," but there's still like a couple tiny little background questions I'm curious about. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's enough too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And writing multiple stories in the same world is good for a lot of reasons. Like, one is the familiarity of, oh, I don't have to redump all of this lore onto you because you know this world. Like, we can
Yeah.
get right into
Mm-hmm.
the story. And then also what you said about like the different perspectives. Like, one person's gonna, like, you know, if you have a world where a war took place, one person might see that war as having been a great thing, and another person's like, no, this war was terrible. And you get to explore that more if you have different stories taking place in this same world.
Sometimes I do feel a little intimidated when I'm new to an author and they have like 10 series in the same
Yeah.
world, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Where do
where
I
do I
start?
even,
Yeah.
yeah, like what? I don't, and then I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, and I don't even try. And I feel like if I wasn't already a Star Wars fan, someone could feel that way about Star Wars. Like, there's
Absolutely.
just so big, and what do I even like? How do I
Yeah,
even get into this?
Yeah.
So like, there is that to consider when you're
totally.
writing
Yeah.
a lot of worlds, but you know, Star Wars it does very well for itself.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's pros
Yeah.
and cons.
And
Yeah.
by the time you get as big as Star Wars, you know, you've got
Yeah, you're
guides on
probably
where to
fine.
I
start
was
and where to
gonna
jump
say
in.
Star Wars is like so thoroughly enmeshed in the cultural zeitgeist at this point that I think they could do
Yeah.
anything and people would be like, "Wow, Star Wars." You consume it.
Yeah.
So,
So I will say one thing to keep in mind if you are someone who's working in a world that you've used before, if you're writing in it, if you're making games in a similar world, don't just go back to that world because you as a writer feel comfortable there and you're afraid to do something new. I feel like that is a bad reason to keep writing in the same world. If you don't have
Yeah.
anything new to say in that world, if you don't have a new story, if you don't have a new perspective, then as hard as it is, it's probably time to move away to a different world. So make sure that you're going back to your world for the right reasons, and not because you're scared or it's just easier to stay in
yeah.
that world because your story won't be as strong.
Fear's never a good reason
Mm-hmm.
to do something like that.
Totally.
I was just listening to a talk by R.F. Kang, the author of the Poppy War,
Ooh, that's on my
She
to
was
be read list.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. She was talking about, so she's written 2 more books after that series, and they're very, very different. And like she talked about why she did that, and she was like, I just felt like if I didn't do something completely different, I would just be writing the Poppy War over again, or like I would be rewriting this character again, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something new. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So like she really maybe didn't do the smart in quotation marks thing for like marketing purposes, because your readers aren't going to translate necessarily from the Poppy War series to her next books. Like for me personally, I really loved the Poppy War. I'm not interested in the other genres of the books that she did, so I'm not going to read them. So like you have to get almost a completely new audience when you do that.
Yeah.
But she did it, and like she's still a really great author and has people reading her books. So like I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and the right people will find those books. Like just like there's people who probably didn't like the Poppy War, but now her new books, they're like, well, those ones I'm interested in.
Yeah.
There's a reader for every book.
There is. And this is my counter example that I am scared to say out loud on a podcast, because I know she has an
listeners,
army.
if there's just a long beep after this, it's because Christiana decided to retract,
like,
and it was too controversial, and we edited it out.
I got scared, and I didn't want to say it. Sarah J. Maas has written Throne
I was
of Glass.
actually also thinking of her.
Yeah, Throne of Glass, A Court of Thorn and Roses, the Crescent City series. I've read all of them, and I've enjoyed all of them. They're all basically the same word in a different font. You know what I mean? Like it's great, and sometimes that's exactly what you want. And like, so like I'm not trying to like dunk on Sarah J. Maas or her readers or anything like that, because I'm one of them. Sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes you finish a series and you're like, I just want this exact same thing but slightly different, so that way I could just like re-experience it. And that's also a totally fine approach, but you might get backed into a corner with it, because I think if
because now her readers probably wouldn't want anything else. Like now it'd be really hard pressed to get a Sarah J. Maas reader to read something else.
Yeah, I think if she released like a totally wild sci-fi book, everyone would be like, what is this? Why did you release this?
I mean, she could do it.
She
just
could.
Might not be.
It just might not be received as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was actually thinking of her as well, because so on kind of the counter into that, I've only read, I've read The Throne of Glass, the very first book in that series, and then I've read her 2 Crescent City books. And in the most recent Crescent City book, apparently the stuff that happens very strongly indicates that the next book is going to be like a crossover with one of her other series. And I am now so like put off by that, because now I feel like, oh well, I have to read this other series to get this next book, and like I don't want to do that. But as I've been seeing online, there's a lot of people who are really excited about it.
Me,
so
I'm one of them.
Christiana,
like I said, I'm kind of excited to see the crossover. I like it.
Yeah,
and maybe it wouldn't work. Maybe this universal crossover wouldn't work if the books weren't so similar, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Like sometimes you could do it and you're a bestseller and you have a huge audience. Other times switching things up is the best thing you could do for your career as a writer, right? Like it's really hard to say which one is going to be right for you. It's something that you have to kind of decide. Am I doing this because it's comfortable? Am I doing this because I want to do a crossover in the future? Am I doing this just because it's easy and that's what my fans want and that's what I'm comfortable with? Or are you going to push yourself a little bit?
I think it's hard to give advice, like specific advice that will apply to everyone on this topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like we also don't know what your goals are as an author, or like how you define success. Because like if success to you is making money, then certain of these options are better for you than others. Like I would say getting in a niche and writing the same thing over and over again might actually make you more money than
like romance authors. A lot of romance authors do quite well compared to a lot of other authors because it's a format and people expect it, and what you want in a romance novel is exactly the same plot with different characters, slightly different characters every time. You can churn them out, and that's what your audience wants. But that's a different kind of writing, and you want to do different things. So you have to think about, what are you writing for? What are you creating for? What are you building your world for? Is it for
what is your
fun? Yeah. Is it for money? Because as with everything, unfortunately, creativity is both an art, but also it's an industry. And you got to balance, those things as well. So
bringing it back to Star Wars.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is now the episode about the Mandalorian and Sarah J. Maas and existential crises.
I think Star Wars is so successful because it can do all of those things. It could put out the big movies that are basically the same movie over and over again. But could also have series like The Mandalorian or The Clone Wars or Rebels that are exploring these other facets because it's just such a big world that they built that you can really do anything within it.
I think that's a good segue into our proprietor's pick for this week. And how could I not pick a Star Wars book?
Yeah.
So, coming up July 18 of this year, which is in a couple months, Star Wars Inquisitor Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah S. Dawson. From the aftermath of Order 66 comes a new group of former Jedi, each with their own reason to serve the Empire under Darth Vader. Among them is Iskat, who survived the destruction of her old order to claim a new destiny in the Force. Iskat joins the Inquisitors in the hope of uncovering her hidden past that the Jedi refused to share with her. This is really cool because the Inquisitors is kind of like a new... It wasn't a thing of the old Star Wars series. Yeah. It's kind of a new thing. And so I'm really interested to learn more and what they will do with this.
That's very cool. I've never read a Delilah S. Dawson book, but I followed her on Twitter for years. She seems great. She gives lots of writing advice and talks about books and stuff like that. So I can't endorse this book because I haven't read it, but I endorse her Twitter, and I think that this book will be great.
This book isn't out yet, so none of us can be like, yes, it's great, but it sounds really good.
It sounds cool.
So if you read it, let us know what you think, as usual.
Yeah. All right, so I think we're at the time for last call. So, folks, what questions or thoughts or advice do we want to leave our listeners with in terms of world building and what we can learn from The Mandalorian?
I'm just going to summarize our advice of don't listen to someone who gives you specific, you have to do this or you have to do this. Determine what your specific goal for your writing is and what your definition of success means, and that will help you decide what kind of series you want, whether you want to tackle a giant universe of different stories within the same universe or whether you want to do different sort of stories, and you can also find authors to model your career after because there are tons of authors who have gone both routes, who have done both things, and so it's up to you. Yep.
Yeah, there are no universal rules. There's just kind of specific ones. So figure out what you want to do, and then you can figure out your specifics.
Exactly. It's so easy, right? Right?
Just do that. Just do
all
that.
All you gotta do.
NBD. Us creators say.
Yeah. I think my advice would be... don't be afraid to make the universe a little bit silly, because you can still have very, very serious stories and serious themes and all of these really intense emotional scenes and characters and things like that set against that backdrop. And sometimes you just need a Grogu to come along and eat some frogs and provide some relief to the reader, right?
Don't be afraid to let Grogu eat baby eggs.
Yeah. Just put a Grogu in your story.
If we ever release merch, that will be on it.
Let Grogu
That's our podcast slogan.
Yeah. He's a growing boy. Let him have the eggs.
Does the Mandalorian never feed him, or he just always?
We never see it unless he's committing genocide against frogs.
Or like stealing other kids' cookies in school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My advice is going to be for anybody who wants to write episodic stories in the same world is to make your world broad. That way you have a lot of things to explore, you have a lot of angles to tackle, and you don't have to worry about people getting bored with the same corner of the world. Make your world feel big and lived in, and then you also won't be bored in writing. You get to make up a new kind of tree or a new kind of ecosystem.
Yeah.
Spread out. Don't just go to Tatooine all the
Yeah.
time.
I was just gonna say
Star
that.
Wars.
Go to more places than Tatooine.
Yeah.
Go to more places than Tatooine.
If you're writing a
And
world,
maybe-
not Tatooine every single episode.
Not Tatooine.
And maybe don't do like planets that are like complete, just one ecosystem. Like this is your ice world, this is your city world. I mean,
because Earth
Star Wars
like
gets
that.
away with it.
Yeah, Star Wars gets away with it because it's Star Wars. Star Wars
Yeah.
kind of has like a free pass on a lot of things.
We can't all be
Be
unless you're
open.
writing
Yeah.
for a Star Wars series.
In which case, congratulations.
do all
don't,
of these things.
Don't take advice from us. Talk to
Delilah
your
S.
editor.
Dawson, don't listen to us. Write your own.
I mean, FYI, if you actually want to do this, you probably have to publish some of your own novels first.
Yes,
But-
they don't generally hire fledgling
New-
writers to
yeah.
work for big IP like that, but one can dream.
Exactly.
All right, so those are all of our final thoughts to ponder when you're building your own world. We will be back again next time with more on The Mandalorian. As you can tell, we have a lot of things to say.
So many things.
So many things, but for right now, it's closing time. Thank you so much for joining us at the tavern. We hope to serve you here again soon, but you gotta scram. Bye.
Get out of here.
Bye.
See ya later at the cantina.